y'all, so today I'm going to be doing my end of 2015 book haul. The last book haul that I did was in September because the last few months of the year I didn't really buy a ton of books each month, but now that the year has completed and I have started buying new books in 2016, I decided I should go ahead and haul the books that I got in the last 3 months of 2015. First up is The Chimes by Anna Smale. I saw a video where Riley Marie was talking about this book, and I immediately went and found it on the Book Depository and purchased it because it is a dystopian set in London and it centers around music, and it was longlisted for the Man Booker, so I just loved all of those things and I immediately went out and purchased it. I haven't gotten to it yet, but I did put it on my book bucket list 2016, so I definitely intend to get to this one very soon. Next up is Carry On by Rainbow Rowell. I bought this one right after its release with the intent of reading it immediately. It didn't happen, but I am still really excited to get to this one because it's supposed to have a very Harry Potter-esque vibe to it, and I just am really excited. Speaking of Harry Potter, of course, I bought the illustrated edition of Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, and it is beautiful. I cannot wait for the next 6 because this is absolutely gorgeous. I was worried that it wasn't the full book since it is kind of, I think, actually page length shorter than the original, but it is the full book. It's fully illustrated. It is beautiful, and I am just so glad that this is a thing. It's so beautiful, and I can't wait for the last 6 books. Next up is another that I just had to get, and that is The Amazing Book Is Not on Fire by Dan Howell and Phil Lester. As I've said many times, Dan and Phil are like 2 of my all-time favorite YouTubers, especially Dan. Dan is like my favorite person. And I had to get this because I love them so much. I already read this one. I loved it. It was amazing. I love the 2 of them. It was great. Next up is Through the Woods by Emily Carroll. This is a graphic novel made up of 5 short stories, and I did read this one in October and I actually wasn't super impressed. The illustrations in this are really pretty, but I thought that the stories were kind of lackluster and they were kind of like cheap imitations of good creepypasta, if that makes sense and you know what I'm talking about. And I will link my October wrap-up down in the description if you do want to hear more about my thoughts on this. The next book that I got was Illuminate by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. This was one of my most anticipated releases of the year, and I am still so excited to get to it. I can't remember if I put it on my book bucket list 2016, but I've just heard a lot of wonderful things about it and I'm really excited to finally get to it. The next book that I got was Winter by Marissa Meyer, which is the 4th and final book in the Lunar Chronicle series. I got this one right before Thanksgiving because I wanted to take it on my flight with me, and I read this entire thing on plane rides back and forth from home and school, and I loved it. It was an amazing conclusion to the series. It's just so great. Also, this is deceivingly long because it doesn't look that massive, but it's like 800 something pages long. So this was a massive undertaking. And then between Thanksgiving and my holiday break, I really didn't buy any books because I was really busy. But once I did go on break, I went and visited my grandparents, and there is this massive used bookstore near their house, and I ended up finding some really awesome used books there. The first of those was Rebel Angels by Libba Bray, which is the 2nd book in the Gemma Doyle trilogy. I bought the first book earlier in 2015, and this series has been really intriguing me lately, and I definitely want to get to it soon. So I'm glad that I found this one for a pretty inexpensive price. Also at the used bookstore, I found a comic that I've been meaning to get to for quite a while, and that is Chew Volume 1 by John Layman. The Chew comic series is kind of hard to describe, but from what I understand, it's about a cop who, when he eats something, can see like where it's come from, and he uses this to track down people by eating their flesh. That's kind of the description that I've gotten from other people, but it's kind of weird. And yeah. But anyway, I've heard a lot of great things about this comic series and I've been really meaning to pick it up, and I found this one for super cheap at the used bookstore, so I had to pick it up. The last one that I found at that bookstore was another one that I've been meaning to pick up for a really long time, and that is Falling Kingdoms by Morgan Rhodes, which is the 1st book in the Falling Kingdoms series. I was really hesitant to pick up the series for a really long time because I heard that it was less world-based fantasy and more character-based fantasy, and I put a lot of emphasis on world building when I'm reading fantasy novels, but I've just heard so many wonderful things about the series that I decided that I'm going to give it a chance, and I'm really excited to pick this up in the near future. So then on the way back home, we were able to stop into a Half Price Books, which is like my favorite place on the planet. Of course, we don't have any near where I live or where my parents live, but I was able to stop in and I found some books that I'd been looking for. The first of which was Captain's Fury by Jim Butcher, which is the 4th book in the Codex Alera series. And I was really excited because this was the last book of the series that I didn't own, and I have the first 3 in the short, like, mass market paperback, and then I have the last 2 in the taller, kind of between trade paperback and mass market paperback. And I was trying to find this one to match the last 2, so half would be short and half would be tall, and I found this one in the tall version for super cheap, so I was really excited and had to get it. And then at that same bookstore I also found the first book in the Scott Pilgrim graphic novel series, which is Precious Little Life by Brian O'Malley. I've been wanting to kind of pick up this series for a while because I did like the movie, but I've heard that the series is a lot better than the movie, so I am really excited to pick up the series because I've been really into comics and graphic novels lately. And then finally, the last book that I got in 2015 is more of a journal type book, and that is Q&A a Day, which is a 5-year journal where it asks you a question every day. I'm gonna be honest here, this is the 4th one of these that I've purchased. If I had gone all the way through with the first one, I would probably be finishing it sometime around now, but I keep starting them and then not finishing them and not keeping up with them and getting super behind, and I don't want to leave a bunch of like gaps. So I am committed to doing this one this time. I've been really good at keeping up with it so far. I mean, it's only like 2 weeks into the new year, but still. And so I am really hoping to at least finish this whole thing at some point. Please, I want to finish one of these. So those are all the books that I bought in the last few months of 2015. Now, I did make a couple book outlet purchases at the very end of 2015. However, I am going to unbox those in its own video separate from this book haul or my January book haul, so you'll be seeing that one in a few days. Let me know down in the comments your thoughts on any of the books that I've talked about today. As always, I will leave links down in the description to my blog, Twitter, and Goodreads. Please add me as a friend on Goodreads. I would love to be friends with all of you. Like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!